Hello and welcome. This is Voorhees Tiger Vision. I am your host, Madre Allen, here from the Love of the Game Network, where he got another great episode of Voorhees Tiger Vision. We had a little break for the holidays. Coach, how are you feeling? How you doing? How's everything going?
Great holidays. Definitely giving gratitude for the ability to be where I am right now here in Denmark, South Carolina, as the head coach of Voorhees College, but also gratitude with everything that's going on in the world, man. Just being able to still be safe, being able to be healthy, being able to be here to talk to you is a great thing. And, we're now less than 30 days for my guys get on campus. So that gratitude for that is really big. But had a good Thanksgiving, man. Got a chance to see some players. So that was good.
Absolutely. You've had some gyms rocking. I consistently hear people say, man, every gym that I'm at, I see Coach Huff in the gym. Coach, a time to be honest. I know you've enjoyed yourself because anytime you're being successful, you're gonna enjoy yourself as far as recruiting. But are you tired of watching high school games yet? You ready to get at it in your league and get to your guys yet?
Man, I'm ready to have a practice, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm ready to get those guys out there. They're ready. We actually just talked today, my team and myself, and they're ready to go, man. I'm ready to get them going. You start watching some of the college basketball. You're seeing some of the upsets as well, and you're like, man, whew, I'm not gonna lie. When I saw, Dalton State, who we get to play in January, gets to go up and play Kennesaw State this Saturday. I love it for my guy Alex Ireland because that's my guy. But I'm thinking, man, that could be us right now. But I understand the situation of us not starting in January, so I'm just excited, man. I'm not gonna say I'm tired of seeing high school basketball because every time I get out, I see something new. Whether it's a guy I was already on or a guy that I didn't know about. The one thing I'll say about South Carolina is that obviously being from Atlanta and you being in the Atlanta area, there's no hiding the fact that people come out and watch high school basketball in the Atlanta area. So it's hard to kind of not know players. But for whatever reason, kids in South Carolina, there's some hidden gems.
Absolutely. And we know you know how to find those guys. Coach, I just want to talk just a couple of random kind of basketball topics. College, as you say, college basketball is in full tilt. I won't say that it just kicked off because we know the NAIA season and those seasons kicked off before Division I did, but a lot of action going on over the holidays that we haven't had a chance to catch up on. But most notably, if you look at the Dukes of the world, the Kentuckys of the world, they're 3-5 right now. I don't know if you had a chance to watch those games. I know you watch a lot of college basketball, period, but I don't know if you've had a chance to watch those guys. But it stuck out to me when I've heard you talk about how hard it is to win when you're young.
Yeah.
And watching this Kentucky team, as I've watched them a few times and looking at how they play defensively, I was like, yeah, they're really young. Have you noticed kind of any trends in college basketball about how people are handling youth, especially during times where maybe practice or something may be limited with COVID?
I think that's why you're seeing some of those teams with a lot of youth struggle because in a regular time period, if I'm talking Division I or any level, to be honest, you know what time you're starting to practice and you know how much time you're going to have before that first game. And everybody's on the same playing field. Where we're looking at times right now where you may get a team, I just take, for example, a team that we're going to play, Florida National, who's out the Miami area, who's an NAIA program in the first game of the year. Well, South Florida's first game of the year, Division I program in the American Conference. They played Florida National. And everybody was like, man, Florida National was winning at halftime. South Florida only beat them by 8. But Florida National had played 10 games. And South Florida had only played 1. Or that was their first game, excuse me. And then you got to understand with COVID, you may have teams that got 1 practice in because they had been on break or quarantine for 14 days. You don't know how many players have been in and out dealing with the quarantine. So there has been a lot less continuity among a lot of these teams. And if you're young, that really hurts. Or not even just young, teams that have a lot of new players, period, because obviously we've got grad transfers, we've got guys who set out last year, and those teams that have kind of played well early are teams that, kind of bringing everybody back. I talk about my guy, Adam Flagler at Baylor, and obviously he set out last year, but that team is most of those guys coming back, with additions like him and somebody else. So I think that's what you're seeing in college basketball. That's why you're seeing some of the upsets, the Queens, a D2 school beating a D1. You saw Emmanuel, a D2 beating a D1. Last night we saw a D2 take down Kansas State. And that's the reason you're seeing some of these things, because some of these teams have more time together on the floor than other teams. And this might be a trend that continues throughout the year. If you can consistently get time and avoid, knock on wood, a COVID situation or outbreak, then your team can kind of get some continuity going.
Coach, we talked about in previous episodes some of the precautions that you guys were taking, including not having guys back on campus until January. But there's also some additional precautions that you guys are taking before guys are even allowed back on campus. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Definitely. I gotta love what our president, Dr. W. Evans, has been doing, along with our athletic director, Shirlene Johnson, about how we're making sure we're going to try our best to keep all of our athletes, not just basketball players, but all our athletes who are starting in January up through the end of the spring, keep them safe. And so part of the thing was that we want to not do anything, not have them on campus until January. And before they even get to campus on January 4th, for the athletes, they're going to have to come back with a negative COVID test that was in the last 7 to 10 days. And then right when they get on campus, they're going to get another COVID test. That we're going to make sure that they're negative again. And then we're going to test, every week. We're going to test before games and we're going to test after games. So if the game is at home, we're going to test them before, and then we'll test them the next day after the game. Not right after the game, because obviously we just tested them before, but the next day, whatever meeting that we have or practice. And then on the road trip, we'll test them before we leave for a road trip. And when we get back, if it's 2 a.m, then it won't be 2 a.m. But the next time we get that whole team together, we'll test them when they get back. So we're trying to do everything possible in that area. As far as dorm life, it's a little bit different. We're putting our athletes in Pacific dorms. So basketball team is in one dorm, women's basketball team in another dorm, baseball team in another dorm, track and field in another dorm. And that's kind of how we're doing it. Everybody has their own single room. So, freshmen who are coming in, they're getting a little benefit of the doubt right now, not having that roommate that they normally would have. They can double up that bed in that freshman room and live life lavishly, So that's a big thing. We bought some industrial size washers here to make sure we're taking care of all of their gear, to make sure it gets clean and not depending on them, or a regular size washer, which sometimes may get stuff clean and may not. So we bought some industrial size washer and dryer to make sure we're taking care of everything. We bought new water bottles, so each person can have their individual water bottle, which our managers will label and we'll have them throughout the season. So we're doing a lot of things to take care of our players and how we travel. Another thing we bought, I hope my AD doesn't get mad, but we bought another bus for us to travel. So if we have to spread out a lot more, then we can. So we've got more, multiple buses that we can travel with. I don't know if anybody heard how, I want to say it was Kentucky. I think players were on one bus, coaches were on another bus, other personnel on another bus just to travel because they're not flying anymore. The luxuries of a high major Division I charter and flights is not happening this year.
We are definitely all moving in the same. We got some comments here in our comment section. Guys are already getting after it in the comments. Hey, and this goes right in line with what we were talking about. I said it here first. Voorhees will make the national tournament. These expectations seem to follow you, Coach, everywhere that you go. And I know because I know you, I know that you never back down from a challenge or back down from the fight. But people have to understand, coming in January, you're in that position where you guys, and I think the COVID precautions that you're taking are going to help, because you need all the practice time, uninterrupted practice time that you can get. But you guys are under the gun as far as getting the schedule, playing your games, and getting into the tournament. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Definitely. I mean, we're going to be pushing it. I mean, we're going to come in January 4th and have some two-a-days, and we've got a scrimmage on January 7th, which is good in a way. You can see how you're going. And then we got some time off before play a regular game, so we can get back to the lab and work on everything that we've worked on. But, I had a Zoom with my guys today, and I continuously tell them they have got to come in the best physical and mental shape that they've ever been in their life, because it's a season of adaptability and flexibility. Things are not the same. We don't have that period before we start even regular practice where we can really condition them. We don't have those 30 or so odd days before we play a game to get them ready. So things are just different, but it is, I think, the best thing that has happened, and I've told anybody who will listen to me, is that if we were playing games right now or we were practicing right now, then I would feel kind of under the gun. But this time right now has allowed me to really get to know my players, the new ones coming in, as well as the team that's already here, and them to get to know one another. And I told my guys today, and I'll tell anybody who listens, what we've done in the month I've been here is going to help us win some games somewhere down the road this year. That were our Zoom calls and connectivity and how we've built relationships. That's going to help us win the game somewhere down the road this year.
I agree, Coach. Another question here from our audience: do you think that not having a crowd is having an effect on teams? And I'll add something in. Will there be any capacity restrictions at the Hees this year?
So right now we're talking about obviously letting parents and players come. We're talking about have some limited capacity. Our athletic director is looking at that actual number. But because we won't have a full campus full of students, I think that's what people have to realize. Like, we're letting our athletes come back along with freshmen that choose to come back and transfers. So we won't have a full campus full of students. So our ability to not have capacity or having a certain number, we can really deal with. It's not like we'll be turning people away because everybody's on campus. And we did that strategically here just to make sure that we could limit who we were in contact with on campus and allow those students who didn't feel safe to still take classes online throughout this semester. And, hopefully we can get this thing under control. And next year we can pack the house and our AD can be holding people back from the sidelines like she talks about when we have games, because it's a great environment. It's a great atmosphere down here. And if you don't believe me, you can just go on YouTube and click on some games. That Washington and Venice game last year is a great one to go watch.
I love it. I think you guys are definitely going to pack it out, but I love the precautions that you're taking. To me, when COVID cancels the Ohio State-Michigan game, I think we understand how serious it is. Right. Exactly. I don't know in my lifetime I've ever seen that happen, right? And it just happened. So glad that you guys are staying safe and doing everything you can to protect the young men and women on campus at Voorhees. So, well, Coach, let's get into your calendar a little bit. We touched on it a little bit about what that calendar looks like and how challenging it is. But let's look at the first month of January and kind of set the tone of guys coming back on campus and what they can expect to see here. I'll do a quick share and we'll get to it.
Well, as you're getting that ready, obviously we are here on January 4th. The guys have to set a time. They got an email this week to set a time when they don't actually arrive to check into their dorms, because we don't want everybody coming at the same time. So on January 4th, it's only men and women's basketball. And then on January 5th, it's baseball and track and field. So on that 4th, once we get everything together, we're going to have our first team meeting at 5:30. And then, as you see, we'll go right into practice at 8 o'clock. And then for the next couple of days, we'll be having two-a-days as we get ready for that scrimmage game versus South Carolina Faith A&M. And then we're back at it. The one thing I told anybody that was, coming to visit campus that was interested in Voorhees, is that we're going to run this like a Division I program. And by doing that, that means we're going to have weights, we're going to have film, we're going to have shoot-arounds. We're going to do the same things that your Division I programs are going to be doing. So as you can see, there nothing changes with that. Once we actually start classes, yes, we will practice at 5:30 a.m. every morning, unless we're coming off a game or it's the day of the game. So you can see kind of how we're going to run things here and how we're going to, travel. We've got our games kind of set up, and the only difference this year with our games is everything's tentative, because you can schedule it out right now and things could change. But as you see, after we play scrimmage, South Carolina Faith A&M, Middle Georgia State comes here on January 14th. So we get a week to get ready for that after seeing what we have. Then we go to Dalton State and my good friend Alex Island on January 19th. And then we turn around 2 days later and Edward Waters comes here to Voorhees. And then we take a little weekend trip. We go to Talladega. Then we go right to Jacksonville at Edward Waters. So we're on the road the 23rd through the 25th. And then after that, we've got a game versus our rival, Allen University in Columbia, who will definitely be we'll be going to them on the 27th. But you see the study halls, you see the weights, you see the practice, you see the film. All of that's important to what we're trying to do here at Voorhees.
Meticulously planned out, as I expected, Coach. But I do have one question about the schedule.
All right.
You immediately go Middle Georgia State, Dalton State, Edward Waters, Talladega. You didn't schedule a cupcake, a shoe-in, hey, we're going to get an easy win. Nowhere. You got it right to the smoke right away.
Coach, the only way we're going to advance and get to what Dr. Love talked about, that national tournament, is we've got to play guys who've been there. We've got to play established, really good programs who are going to challenge us. I don't think you get challenged by playing cupcakes all the time. If we were in a regular season, you can kind of space it out. But when you've only got a 2-month window to get your games in, you've got to pick and choose how you can get better. We've got to be ready and have played anybody that we need to play to be ready for our conference tournament at the end of February.
Battle tested is what these guys will be by the end of all of this. But I'm sure they'll be ready for it. I'm certain that those first few practices will be intense enough to set the tone. And I'm sure those guys are chomping at the bit and ready to go. I'm sure they're as eager as ready to get to it as you are.
Man, those guys wish they were here right now. They are finishing up finals. Tomorrow and Friday are the last day of finals, so they're like ready. So they're gonna have like about 3 weeks to really get ready before they get on campus. And they were talking about the schedule today, and they were talking about practice today. And I'll tell you a funny story. And this is kind of it's what you want to recruit for, because I think a lot of times people don't understand. You've got to have guys that want to win and play together as a team, but they got to have some competitive nature about themselves, even amongst the team, because that's going to make each other better. So I had 2 guys who were freshmen. One guy kind of had committed to us earlier, and another guy committed later, and they both wanted the same number. And so the guy says, "Well, we're going to have to play for that number when we get down there."
Hey, listen, 1-on-1 to 7. 3 dribble max. 1-on-1 to 7, 3 dribble max. That's how you get it done. No back downs either.
Right.
Coach, do they know that you might be one of the best shooters on the team?
Hey, they're gonna have to find out. I think a couple of my guys know, because we'll talk about one of those guys tonight. But two of them may know. Obviously Malik Wood, who we talked about on a previous show, I've known him a little bit. He probably knows, and another kid we'll talk about tonight. The rest of them are going to learn that, I'm not in the same basketball frame I was. I look more like a football guy now than when I played back in the day, but I can still stroke that thing. One coach's show, we'll have to pull out the highlight of the coach's student game the last time I played.
Hand down, man down.
You already know.
Yes, indeed. It's gonna be a good time. I can't wait to see you guys get ready to get started. Coach, we touched on. We'll continue to touch on what the team is going to look like in the future, but let's talk about what the team is going to look like this season. We've touched on your new recruits, but we've got incoming guys coming for this season. There will be some new faces too. I want to give a chance to give these guys some love and show some highlights from these guys and be able to talk about these guys as well. Let's start with Julius Phillips, Coach. I've got some plays from this guy.
Definitely. We were blessed to be able to get a guy like Julius to come in, 6'6" guy that we talk about playmakers and monsters, and he's one of the guys that can actually be both. He can be a playmaker and a monster, so he can be a 4 or 5 for us. Comes from a Division II up in Philadelphia, Chestnut Hill. We were really blessed, man. There, God works in mysterious ways. Their season was canceled, and he was still looking to play. And we had some connections to get him down to Denmark, and he committed to us. And I'm really excited about the opportunity to coach this young man, to help him become better on and off the floor. Just a great young man who actually went to high school up there in Philadelphia. So he's coming to the South, so it's going to be a little new for him, but he's all in. His family's all in, and what we're doing and what our culture is about here at Voorhees.
Little old Denmark, South Carolina. Get ready. Here we go.
My double ever see with that boy catching bodies. He caught on my body, ain't seen nothing about it. Your life we get took, we call it a ride. My bitches, they know I'm massages like dollars. My bitches is out of my cause a robot. I live in the trap, man, the bank is my closet. I fucking so sensitive, them hoes got me robbed. A real bitch up, I ain't got no style. Real bitch up, I ain't got no style. So let's go to your face. Like it's 98. Your love is all I need. You get whatever you want is all on me. I get you Christian Dior and the Louis V's, now you all on feet. You get whatever you want, get just don't leave. Your love is all I need. I get whatever you want is all on me.
Seeing a guy with size, with length, some athleticism, but can also step out. I keep seeing that as a trend with you guys, with guys being able to shoot the ball from a lot of different spots.
I mean, when you've got guys that can shoot it all over the floor, I mean, how do you play? How do you really play help side defense? How do you guard, multiple ball screens? How do you do a lot of things when you got guys that can pick and pop, guys that can pick and roll? You get a guy like Julius who, I just think he's a beast, can attack the rim, but also can step out, can handle it some, being that playmaker kind of monster combination. It's going to be tough for guys to guard. You put him along with guys that we already got. Big Willie, who's 6'7" guy that's returning on the team, Big Willie Ferguson, big Bryce Williams, 6'5" kid, and Staten Levine, 6'5", and Jarvis Martin, 6'5". You put all those guys together at our 4 or 5 position, and we think we've got some monsters and playmakers down there that can really help us. They all can make plays, multiple positions. They all are tough. They all can rebound, and they all can step out and shoot the three.
Very tough, especially in combination with what we've seen coming back from last year's team and the new additions to this year's team. Another addition from the D2 ranks is a player that you're really familiar with, somebody that you coached before in high school over at Duluth, a guard that you and I both liked coming out of high school that I thought could have been a D1 kid, which is Jordan Blue.
Yeah, Jordan, definitely love the fact that I get to coach a kid that I coached in high school, not only because of the fact that he's good enough to play for us, obviously by being a D2 player who's transferring in, but a guy who can help the guys as we're learning how they're learning how to play for me, how they're learning what we like to do. he can help them in that transition. So I really like that aspect of it. He's coming from Young Harris up in the mountains of Georgia, a D2 program in the Peach Belt. And if anybody knows about the Peach Belt, that's one of the top D2 conferences in America. So to be able to get him to come back, it's so funny about him is that his mother wanted him to go to a HBCU out of high school, and Jordan didn't want to do it. And now he's all about it. He loves the fact that he gets to go to a HBCU, tough-minded kid. He's a guy that can do whatever you need him to do. He can be your point guard or he can be your wing. He can score or he can defend. And that's what I really like about Jordan is his versatility.
Swiss Army knife.
Yep.
I'll go ahead and play here.
I just been balling out every season. Know it's some cookies I left in the beach. I just been married to double cup. I gotta pull me a four inside another leader. Tie up the bands and then run it up. I gotta put the new bells inside of the freezer. Back at the trap, I was ducking the beat, ducking the birds, sending out the eagles. All of my diamonds gon' bust out the meter. I'm dripping water in the aquafina. That shit done happened if she think I need her. Hit it one time and then I gotta leave her. I'm a real street nigga. Gotta keep it a rap with my people. Turn the whole squad to bosses. I can't be kicking shit like I'm Adidas. Looking like pulling up inside the Bentley truck. I just be popping shit like hot grease. I'm in my day sitting at the trap. About to call the plug. Got a cop 3. Looked up the Pablo Escobar. Money meet the Chapo. That's my top 3. I was serving the sidewalk, then I copped the drop, hopped in the street. You can't name when you get great, that's how this be. All my niggas do murders and robberies. Got about 20 racks in a rabbit jean. Thinking I won off the lottery. When I hop in the push start with the pound, get to know that it ain't no stopping me. Out of town champ like Mayweather, got a new crib off the boxing ring. Put the new 4 Giottos on the Jeep, run up 30 in a week. I just fuck I don't keep 45 under the pillow, 45,000 in the sheets. I want the bag and I just been balling out every season. Know it's some cookies I left in the beach. I just been married to double cup. I gotta pull me a four inside another leader. Time the bands and then run it up. I gotta put the new bells inside of the freezer. Back at the trap, I was ducking them people, ducking the birds, sending out the eagles. All of my
Brought back memories, Coach. I remember being at some of those games. I watched some of those games up close. If anybody is thinking to themselves, oh, man, those are easy shots. He was wide open. Yeah. In Huff's offense, kind of end up being wide open. But you still have to be able to knock down shots and make shots. And Jordan was one of those kids that became a very reliable, not just shot taker, but a shot maker, and doing it at a high percentage.
And what I liked is, you saw some of it in those clips of not just making plays for himself, but making plays for others. And that's why we called him a Swiss Army knife, been able to play, the 1 through the 3, because he's tough enough to play that 3 position. He defends really well. But, the biggest thing about Jordan is how he's developed over the years. And he's even better now than that senior video from high school. You talk about a year and a half at that D2 level, and, the coaches up there rave about him. They hated to see him go. I'm really excited about what he's going to bring to our squad on both ends of the floor. He knows we like to press. He knows how to get into it. So that's going to be another great thing. And I think he's going to have some competitive nature. You talk about him and you talk about Malik, who we talked about, and you talked about Joel, who's coming from Chicago, who we showed on the show. We talked about Ezekiel, who we talked about, we showed on the show from Orlando. You get those guys in with the Zach Whites from Tallahassee, who won a state championship at Rickers High School. You get him with, Amarion Bird, a kid from North Augusta, who can really shoot the basketball, along with Taiwan Bowie and Terrell Wyndham. And we've got some competition now at our 1 through 3 positions. Where guys got to come in and they got to work hard, and guys got to make plays, not just for themselves, but for other people. And we've got shooters. We got guys who can make shots. And I think that's what's going to elevate our offense this year is we don't just have specialists. We got guys that can do a lot of different things.
Noticing that as a few trends, guys that can dribble, pass, shoot, but also noticing that you're bringing in some high academic guys, some guys that are getting it done in the classroom. Many people may not know how the academic standards of a young Harris. You're talking about somebody that you won't have to worry about at all in the classroom.
Exactly. That's the the biggest part about it. We want better people make better players. That's not just their character, but it's the academic piece. That we don't have to worry about them when we're going to check classes. We know they're going to be there. That's the biggest part for us. We have some standards of what study hall is going to be. All those guys coming in are going to have to be in study hall, no matter their GPA. All freshmen are going to have to be in study hall, and returners with less than a 3.0 are going to have to be in study hall. But there's incentives as you move on to why you don't want to be in study hall if you have over a 3.0. And that's where we want to get to. Coach Marcus Smith, the baseball coach down here, he's already set the mantra. His team won the academic award for NAIA baseball last year. So I got some big shoes to fill. That's an award we want to get in basketball. And me and him been knowing each other for a while. We were both young assistant coaches at Dutchtown High School way back in the day. I won't give away my age, but that was way back in the day when we were both there. And so I'm excited to try to, get my team where his team is academically. The
defending state champion Dutchtown High School now, as what they like to call themselves. Absolutely. I think you won't have any issue doing that, with the guys that you have coming in and the guys that we know that are considering Voorhees at this time. Christian Ford, that we talk about all the time, is one of your incoming commits, another high academic kid that will be there as well. We'll get to the new guys. I want to save those, but we're going to answer one of the questions that I get all the time. Walking around, people asking me, well, what is needed up at Voorhees? What does Huff need? How do I donate? How do I give to the program? How do I help with this great thing that's being built? So I think we have some information on that, and I want to pull this up and try to share.
And as you're doing that, part of my job is not just to be the head men's basketball coach here at Voorhees, but it's also being, over athletic fundraising, booster club coordinator. So a little bit of that is just having a vision, that Tiger vision that we talked about, that begin, believe, become, and how can we get better here in Tiger Nation. And we do that, not just by saying, man, I went to Voorhees, but we do that by, giving a little bit. All it takes is a little bit. I urge people to realize that thing that you see right there, that family, love, grace, and be a star, that's not just from the basketball program. That's for every program here on campus. And all it takes is a little bit. We've got levels down here that we're going to show, but I want you to think about alumni, that if you just gave $20 a month and sent it in, do you know how impactful that would be? Because if one person did it and two people did it, it could change everything about Voorhees that you remember. Part of the big thing that I've been telling our guys as we're starting to change some stuff around here, new weight room, we're getting new scoreboards, some things like that are happening here at Voorhees, but those things cost money. And if we want to continue to be a program that people want to come and be a part of, that people, when they come back for homecoming, they don't just party, but they give and they look at the things that are different, then it takes some monetary funds to do that. And so the Tiger V Club is what we are starting down here, and it allows you to join our team, and not just the basketball team, but any team. So we've got different levels: the diamond level, which is 5,000 plus; the AD circle level, which is 2,500 plus; the gold level, which is 1,000 plus; the bronze level, 250 plus; the Tiger Club, $100 plus; the young alumni. Those guys that haven't gotten really into their career yet, and they're 1 to 5 years after graduation. I saw a couple during the holidays at some events, just giving $50. And then I think we have one, Mondre goes up just to, maybe you're a student here and you want to see stuff get better. The Student Tiger Club, just giving $25. And then all these contributions are tax deductible and can be made to Voorhees Athletics. And you can also tell if you want to give a certain amount, let's say you want to give $500, but you want to give $250 to overall athletics and $250 to a certain team. We can definitely do that because every team here can definitely use these donations and this help. You got to think about it. We're in COVID. Some things have changed, and We've got to travel different places. You can help that track team and where they got to travel if they're going to the pen relays. You can help the baseball team is they've got to travel just different places, or either one of the basketball team. So definitely these are ways that you can give back. And we want you on campus. When the campus opens back up for everybody, we want all alumni, and especially men's basketball alumni. Come see us. Come watch a practice. Come talk to the team. Come be a part of our family.
So important as you continue to go through changing the culture there at Voorhees and establishing that culture. I just want to put this up and let's spend some time reminding everybody what it is that we're building and what it is that's being built at Voorhees, and not being built from nothing, but established on what was already a great foundation, but what's being added to that foundation. Let's talk about the culture that you have for that program once again.
And again, enough can't be said for what Coach Derek Mitchell did in his time here. He established everything, and I'm just trying to take it to another level and build upon what he did. But you can look at this pyramid, and anybody knows I'm a big John Wooden person. He was the head coach of UCLA, and we kind of morphed that pyramid into what we want to be here at Voorhees. And it starts at that bottom level, that foundation. We've got to be servant leaders. We got to be servant leaders for one another and for everybody else in our community on campus. We got to have some responsibility. Even today, we talked about communication, how we communicate as players with our teammates on the floor. We don't want any drama. So that goes back to that relationship building that we've been doing. We don't want to let our teammates down. One of the biggest things we talk about is, play for the brother that's next to you. We've got, 5 seniors that are on this team, and they may not get the chance to play again. So how do you play so hard, so well for them that you leave it on the court for them? And then you get to that next rung and you have the toughness that we're going to definitely show, the sportsmanship, the integrity, the respect, and that builds more into our poise and our team chemistry. And that one in the middle of that third rung, that spiritual growth, I think a lot of people forget about that, but we won't here at Voorhees. We're an Episcopal school. It's part of who we are. It's part of who I am. So we're not going to forget about that spiritual growth. We go to chapel every Tuesday. So if anybody's thinking about Voorhees, yes, we go to chapel every Tuesday. That's part of what we do at our school. And then you get past that, and we're going to be a family. Part of our culture, part of our standards, our brand is being a family, having love and grace, being a star where your feet are planted, and leveraging your uniqueness. So we believe in that family and love, and then consistent greatness in everything that we do. We have to be consistently great in the classroom, in the community, on the basketball floor. So everybody uses that word culture, and that culture is our Tiger vision. But I believe in this, and Jason Wells has been a great part of building into our guys so far. And he gave us this last week in our Zoom meeting with our team. And he said, culture comes from vision. Vision drives beliefs. Beliefs drives behaviors, and behaviors create results. So our culture is coming from this vision. That vision that you guys are seeing right there, that triangle, that's our vision. And so that's going to drive our beliefs in who we are and what we're trying to do in our program. And it's going to drive our behaviors as well. So now you're going to have a player-led team and not just a coach-led team. And finally, those behaviors will create results. And the results that we want are creating great men on and off the court, and obviously winning ball games. So we can get to the NIA tournament, like Dr. Love said, and make some noise there.
Coach, I don't think that people always understand how detailed you are and how important culture and building those things are to you. It's something that becomes coach speak sometimes with some coaches, but I've watched you be very meticulous in this way, as meticulous as you are famously for some of those practice plans that you put together. Very meticulous about, this is how we do it every single day, and this is what it looks like. So I want to come back. We talked about the early morning practices. You've talked about in this episode of how we're going to do things exactly how they do it at the high major or at the Division I level. I want to take a look at a little document and what you put together about what that looks like just in a day-to-day and what life is like as a Voorhees Tiger and how you establish this type of culture. I thought this was great. Kids have to understand what it is if you want to be a part of a big-time basketball program, what it is that you're buying into. I think every high school kid should see this.
And as you're putting that up, I first want to say that, and I tell every recruit that we have, if you're coming to little old Denmark, South Carolina at Voorhees College for a fancy gym or a big city, then we probably need to stop talking. But if you're coming to become a big-time player on a big-time team and become a better person so we can help win some games, then you're coming to the right place. And this is just an example of how we're going to get it done. We talked about practice being early. So you can't just walk in the gym at 5:30. Does that impact us in winning? It does, but it impacts you at life because your boss, whenever you get to your job, is not going to consistently allow you to come in late every day. So it's teaching our guys what that process is. That doesn't mean they always have to wake up at 4:30 in the morning, but you got to understand I got to be ready to go when 5:30 hits, when we have practice. Not lacing up my shoes, not putting on my practice uniform, not getting my ankle tape. We are ready to go at 5:30 every morning. And then a big thing about what we want to do here is getting players better. So after we have our practice, we go into individual development. How can we get our guys better individually? Because we believe in the statement, I, you, me. If I get better, you get better. And if you get better, we get better. And that happens to individual development. And then, 8 to 9, obviously we're going to shower. We want to go to breakfast as a team when COVID ends. That's going to be our time to kind of bond. And then we're going to prepare for class. So, something that has been a little bit different here is that, I'm getting my guys to make sure their classes don't start to 9 a.m. And then they're going to have their day to themselves, attend classes. You see when lunch is. They can have their study time. They can have dinner. And then we kind of come back, if they need to have some recovery time, stretching or ice baths are available 5 to 6. And Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, again, we're going to have our strength training sessions. And like I said, study hall is a big part of that. And then if you look at Tuesdays and Thursdays, the only thing that flips with that is that we go to film instead of weights from 6:15 to 7 p.m. So I tell people when you go to college and you play any sport, not just basketball, it's still fun, but it's also a job. Because every school, especially if you're on scholarship, is paying for your education for you to play this sport. And so this is you putting the time in. This is you punching in the clock every day. So you got to love what you're doing to do it. Because as you can see, you're not going to be a regular student. But that's the life I'm not a regular, person with a regular job. People always say, man, you get to just coach basketball every day. It's not just coaching basketball every day. It's not just sitting in the office watching film. It is setting up travel for our games. It's making sure guys have the right classes, making sure guys have paid their housing deposits. It's a lot of stuff that goes into it.
Hey, if practice is at 5:30 and the guys have to walk in ready to practice, you have to walk in every day ready to run practice. And the planning that goes into that. If you've never coached before, many people may not understand what that's like.
Yeah.
That's a lot to be prepared for. I think this is awesome. I think this is something that every kid that says they want to play big time basketball needs to understand. Like this schedule should be posted in every team locker room so that they can understand that this is what I'm fighting for.
It's not high school anymore where you can go to practice and as soon as practice is over, you running out the gym. It's not going to be that anymore. Yes, you'll have some time to be a college student. I'm not going to have fun. I'm not going to say you're not going to have that time. But we talked about being locked in today in our meeting with our team. And when you talk about October to April, that's locked in time. I mean, yes. You are locked in. And if you're not ready to do that, and I'll be honest, if you're not ready to do that, you can't be a Voorhees Tiger. Because if anybody knows anything about me, I'm locked in. So when I go look for guys, I'm looking for guys who can take constructive criticism in the right way, with myself and my coaching staff and their teammates, but the guys who can develop too. Because I think with that kind of detailed breakdown, you're going to get guys who are going to get extremely better in their seasons here at Voorhees. So you may see a guy, you know, if we're keeping it real, there are times that people are going to always contradict or have something to say about any guy that we recruit.
Yes.
Well, is he that good? Well, I don't want you to ask that question right now if that kid's in high school. I want you to ask and answer that question when he finishes his time at Voorhees College. Then ask, was that kid that good? Because
100%.
my job as a coach is not to be reactive, but I've got to be proactive. So I got to forecast what a kid can become here in Denmark, South Carolina, under our tutelage, and what we're going to be able to do with them.
I think that's a great point. And people have to understand that you set the bar extraordinarily high. You asked a question in one of our previous episodes of, hey, when is the last time an HBCU school has won a national championship? When is the last time we've seen? That's the goal. And you haven't backed down from that being the goal. So there has to be some form of sacrifice if you're coming to Voorhees, you're coming to win a championship. You're coming to do something that other HBCUs maybe haven't done or haven't done recently.
Right.
So to be able to do that, there's sacrifice, there's work, there's something extraordinary about doing that. So to accomplish something extraordinary, you got to do something extraordinary.
You've got to leave a legacy. I've always been a big person, and the way you leave a legacy is when people come back and they see something you've done. Like when people walk into our gym and they see that team 2 years ago that won the conference and went 24-9, that team left a legacy because everybody sees that.
Yes.
When you look up on the wall in our gym and you see number 54, Mr. Dinkins, who was the first number 23 ever in Chicago Bulls history before Michael Jordan, you understand that legacy was left by that young man when he was here at Voorhees to say, you can come to Voorhees and you can go anywhere you want to go, even to the NBA.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're going to end the show on a high note. We always love talking about recruiting and more incoming classes. This 2021 class that you brought in or that you got committed is an amazing group of kids. And it just keeps getting better and better. Almost, I feel like every week that we do an episode, it's another 2021 that's amazing coming in.
And what's so amazing about it is that if I were to tell people academically what these young men in the class of 2021 are bringing to the table, they will probably be flabbergasted. We're talking, 3.8 GPAs with a lot of them. We're talking over 1,000 SATs. And if you know anything about non-Division I basketball, that helps everything that you're trying to do when you're trying to recruit the right kind of guys, because now it helps you maneuver different things in a different way. And you get guys that are bought in. And, yes, we got Christian coming from East Paulding High School in Georgia, which is a little bit outside the perimeter. But the next two guys, I'll wait till you play it. I don't want to give it away
yet. Well, let's get to it. We'll start with the 6'3" wing Jacoby Crosby. Let's start with there.
And he's grown since that video. He's about 6'4", 6'5" now. He is a legacy kid. Grandparents graduated from Voorhees. Mom graduated from Voorhees. He's right down the road at Bamberg High School, about 10 minutes, 15 minutes away. So to get a homegrown kid, you got to love it, man. And a kid that not just is homegrown, but he can play. I mean, he can play. So you can go ahead and roll that one. I love Jacoby.
I love the intangibles that this kid is going to be able to bring, right? With all the high academic kids that are coming in, with all the talent that's coming in, and not to say that he's not talented, but one thing that's special about this kid, Voorhees is special to him, and he's going to be able to bring that to the team and make sure everybody understands how important it is being at Voorhees College. So I'm going to play these highlights from Jacoby Carsman.
Finish.
I know David Jones is watching somewhere in love with the lefties. He loves every lefty that gets brought into the program.
Definitely. So he's gonna love him. He's gonna love Joel. Lefty guys we've got coming to the program. But Jacoby, I actually got a chance to see him Monday night. They played their rival Denmark, two teams less than 10 miles away, and he ended up scoring 20. But he didn't like it. And it wasn't because he thought he should have scored some more. He just thought he didn't have a fluid game. And that just tells you the type of kid that we're talking about. He wants – I don't know if you like saying – he wants perfection. And you like kids like that because that means they always want to get better.
Yes. I love it. I can't wait to watch this kid. For me being a Louisville, Kentucky product, I knew how important it was every time a Louisville kid went to the University of Louisville. Mm-hmm. It meant everything to everybody at home. As a kid, watching DeJuan Wheat, my favorite Louisville Cardinal of all time, from Ballard High School, go to University of Louisville. The barbershops were electric every game. It was appointment viewing every time because we wanted to watch guys from our city play for our school. Right. So I love to see it, man. It's very important for every town to make that happen. So I can't wait. Denmark is going to go nuts when his name gets announced.
Yes, sir. They will.
And he gets to put on that uniform. So I can't wait. The next kid that we got is another kid, man. His stock, right as he's rising, in comes Coach Huff, swoops in and grabs him up and gets the commitment. This is Keyshawn Fleecian from St. Anne Pacelli down in Columbus, Georgia.
Really love this kid, man. I'm going to tell you a great story about the kid. So the first time I called the kid, he doesn't answer the phone. And I text him, hey, reach out, wanted to make sure I reached out to you, let you know I have some interest in you. And he calls me back and said, Coach, I was praying.
Wow.
And ever since that moment, and I knew I loved him basketball-wise, but I knew he was the right kind of kid for our program at that particular time. And we actually just got this commitment from him on Monday. He came to visit the campus with his parents. And, at the very end of the visit, he said, Coach, where do I sign? And it made my day. And I'm really excited about getting this young man on campus next year. I think the sky's the limit for him.
Absolutely. These are some highlights from Keyshawn Fleecian. Yes, sir. Go Tigers.
Joel, what's up, man? sneaky athletic. That was the first thing I noticed about him when I saw him play. Like, you look at him, and he's 6'3". You know, he has a wide body. Probably people would think he's a football guy, but he's very quick. He can really stroke it, and you don't pay attention, and you're gonna be put on a poster.
That was one of the first things I noticed when I first saw him last year. Was some of those put back dunks. Like, he really follows and goes to the rim hard. Rebounds from his position extremely well. Plays off of 2 feet, something you don't see from high school kids a lot.
Man, you better say that again. Playing off of 2 feet it's different. And I'll say this: I know this is a coach's show. We're talking about Voorhees, but if there are any players out there playing off 2 feet at the next level, it's what you have to do. Because not only can you make the play for yourself or your teammate, like, it's going to save you from hurt and harm and injury. Because jumping off, unless you're an elite athlete, you're not going to be able to jump off one, because you got guys that are elite athletes at the next level, at whatever level you're going to. So you better be able to play off 2.
100%. 100%. Well, guys, that's our show for tonight. We'll be back next week for episode 4 of Voorhees Tiger Vision, and then we'll take a break for the Christmas holiday. And when we return, Voorhees will be practicing and preparing for the first scrimmage. So we'll be glad to hear it. But that's our show for tonight. Thank you guys for joining. Thanks for asking your questions in the comments. Much love as always. As always, please go follow Voorhees Men's Basketball on Twitter. Go like, subscribe to the Love of the Game podcast network page on YouTube. And you guys have a great night.
Go Tigers.